My name is Tyler Wagner. We got Cody Hill, Joseph.
I love to take nerdy things that Cody's going to bring up and put them in layman's terms.
I think they're going to get a lot of very mediocre humor.
I bet there's close to 35 years of experience with clients and thousands of clients that we've probably trained.
Focused on training, and I was smarter with my nutrition.
We want this podcast to be not only for clients and people looking to get results and just general information, but we want this podcast to be for trainers as well. So what's up, world? We're finally doing this thing. Boo-doo-boo-ba-doo-boo. Boo. That's our intro. My name is Tyler Wagner. We got Cody Hill, Joseph. We're finally doing this podcast thing that we've talked about for 5 years now. And this is going to be our first one. Probably going to be terrible. But we really just want to introduce hey, who we are, what this bad boy is going to be about, and what's coming down the pipeline. So I'm going to let Cody introduce himself, his background, and kind of tell you more about what he's going to offer as we go about this whole thing.
Wow. Well, Tyler, what an intro. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Joseph, good to see you.
Good to
World,
see you.
My name's Cody. I don't even know where to start. I guess born and raised in California. I will keep this mostly training relevant though. So grew up playing sports. I was never great. Enjoyed playing though, soccer, lacrosse, swimming. I see Tyler laughing over there. Squash, you name it. I've played it at a very mediocre or subpar level. But ultimately, I think my foray into fitness started when I was about 15. Some people know this, but probably not a lot, but I had a terrible skiing accident and I broke my back in 2 places and my pelvis in 2 places. And I went through about a year of rehab, and that rehab process was interesting, kind of sucked, but it was interesting. I learned a lot. And then that led me into swimming, which was kind of like my post rehab. That was the thing that I was released into. I was going to swim, and that was going to be the thing that kind of got me back into activities and sports and whatnot. And that's swimming was kind of where I found out how competitive I was. And it was the first time where I realized if I focused on training and I was smarter with my nutrition, that I could immediately experience the benefits of that at my next swim practice. And then swim practices led into competitions and whatnot. So I was never great at swimming. We went to regionals and I did okay, but I was never great. Anyways, fast forward, I go to college and I'm not doing anything in college. And man, my back started hurting, my hips started hurting. I couldn't go to A&M football games because we'd be standing in the stands for 3 hours and my back was bothering me. Here I am 21 years old, and I'm 20 years old. I'm like, wow, my hips hurt. This is uncomfortable, right? And so I was like, shoot, I need to get back into swimming. And so I signed up for a swimming kinesiology. And then I started working out, started lifting some weights, getting into the gym. And then it just snowballed from there. I started feeling a lot better. I started eating a lot better and started seeing great results, and just kind of fell in love with the whole weight room training gym side of things. Got some great results. And then I had buddies asking me, they're like, hey, how'd you do it? And I was like, wow, I don't know. I'm not qualified to answer all of these questions. And so I ended up getting certified. Then I ended up competing in a couple men's physique shows, won those, went to nationals, almost got my pro card over a few years, fell in love with obstacle course racing, Spartans, Tough Mudders, Metro Dash, you name it. And ultimately, me falling in love with fitness, and fitness ultimately helping me feel better and opening a ton of doors for me. That experience was amazing. And so then I wanted to help other people have this light bulb moment where if you have the right series of inputs, you can unlock a whole bunch of amazing things with your life. And so I wanted to help people do that for themselves, right? So that's kind of where I started, and here I am a decade later doing training things and talking with you two goons, and we're going to have a blast with a fitness podcast.
Yeah. So. Cody's probably going to use words, guys, that we need a dictionary for. So we'll all look those up together, but Cody, what do you think I don't want to call it a specialty, but if you were to like, man, this is my favorite thing, my favorite part of fitness, what do you think you would say?
I have two answers. One, personally, my quote unquote favorite thing right now is like a blend of hypertrophy and strength. I like not feeling weak, and I like not feeling scrawny and small, you know. But then the second answer to that question is, I really like helping general population people, moms, dads, business pros, people from 25 to 75, Gen Pop. I really like helping them get stronger, get leaner, improve their health. That's kind of that's my favorite part. I don't honestly like athletes, not my jam. Rehab situations, not my jam. I really like Gen Pop. Gen Pop.
Let me just make you an overall better human being. Yeah. Let's not be too specific about it, even though we could all probably go into that. I agree. That's awesome, man. Do you think that, just kind of thinking on the top of my head, we'll come back to it, but let's go to Joseph and Joseph, tell us a little bit about your background, what you do, your specialties, and all that good stuff.
I'm Joseph Guandolo. If you noticed in the intro, he didn't say my last name, probably because he can't
say it. It's terrible.
He's like Cody Hill and Joseph. Joseph Guandolo, kind of like Cody, played all the sports, but very mediocre at best. And right out of high school, went into the military and became a medic. And that was exciting, and that kind of unleashed my potential in education. And I just started learning everything possible from a medical standpoint or from a fitness standpoint. I actually started my fitness journey really young, obviously with athletics and sports, but from a education standpoint, I was in Afghanistan in 2011. A buddy of mine who was also a medic said, "Hey man, I'm gonna be a personal trainer. I'm going to this school. You want to do it with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, the military's paying for it, so who cares? Like, I don't, whatever." And so good old 2011 was when I got my first certification to be a personal trainer. And like a year later, I had 6 other certifications. I had my associate's degree in exercise science already. And then just kept going and going and going. When I got out in 2014, I was a fitness manager for Gold's Gym, launched tons of trainers and opened up a brand new gym here in San Antonio. And kind of just like Cody, I think Gen Pop is my jam. I love to take nerdy things that Cody's going to bring up and put them in layman's terms. I love that. I love to be able to say, hey, the textbook says this. It's really confusing, but let me show you how it applies to real life. And so I think for the past 8 years now of my kind of business, like I've been doing this for a living. I would say probably the greatest thing is to be able to watch people unlock that potential, right? Of saying, hey, you used to think you were a blah, and now you're pretty awesome, and that's pretty cool to watch people's confidence change with that. My fitness journey is pretty wild. I just like to do hard stuff. And so I ran 6 half marathons in 5 months on top of a Spartan race in that 5-month period as well. I've been down to the 3-4% body fat range as well. Never done a show, Cody, so you're cooler than me. But I looked the part. I looked cool one time for a Mexico trip, and then I blew it out of the water the first day. My first beer went from 4% to 10% really fast. And so, but yeah, I think that's really cool, is learning how training changes and your metabolism changes, and your nutrition has to support both of those things, So if you're from the CrossFit world, you probably heard of a term called metabolic conditioning. That's exactly what that is a marathon trains and eats differently than someone who's doing a bodybuilding show. And so I think my specialty right now would be nutrition, owner of Facts Over Fads Nutrition, and just really had a great opportunity to again, bring the science and put it in layman's terms and try to, what is a calorie? Who cares? Let's talk about almonds and peanut butter and hot dogs, things we like, and how can we find that balance, and again, unlock that potential. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think Joseph will be our resident, really kind of nutrition expert. I've dabbled in it for a few years now. And I think all three of us bring a little bit different to the table. My background, guys, is it's funny how all of us, our conversations are going to lead to, like, we didn't really mean to go be trainers. We just ended up as trainers. So I grew up kind of playing all the sports. I played baseball and soccer kind of like exclusively. Got to high school, decided
But were you good,
liked,
Tyler? Were you good or were you mediocre?
I was, y'all keep saying you're mediocre. I was pretty good. I went on to play college all 4 years at University of Mary Hardin Baylor. I was a nerd. I studied cell biology and chemistry, thought I was going to be a doctor. Then I decided I didn't want to go to school anymore because I had to work real hard to be smart. And I wasn't just naturally smart like Cody is. So I graduated playing soccer, graduated pre-med, started as a physical therapy assistant up here in Dallas. And we had a little gym in our physical therapy clinic. And when I would get done kind of rehabbing a person, whether it was, back surgery, ankle surgery, shoulder, hip, knee, whatever, we would then take them through the little gym that we had in this physical therapy clinic. And that part of my day was the coolest part of my day because I was actually getting like, not just do physical therapy because it can be kind of boring. And so I'm a year into my job and I look at I was fortunate enough, I worked directly with a physical therapist, a chiropractor, a DO, and an MD. So I kind of covered all the spectrum there. And I looked at them one day and I was like, I want to become a trainer. What do I do? And they said, well, go get your CSCS. I had no idea what that even meant. I just said, okay, I'll go get that. So I studied for a little while, went and got my CSCS in, I don't know, 2010 maybe. And passed, and I was like, okay, time to start training people. So I would go train from probably like 6 a.m. till roughly 8 a.m., then put my scrubs on, go to work, and then work from 8 to 5. And then I would go back to training from like 6 to 9 for a little while. And I enjoyed those crazy hours more than I did that little bit of time in that physical therapy clinic. And it just kind of opened my eyes to like, man, like I kind of want to do training. This is pretty cool. Seeing people change and get stronger and the confidence you give them. So after about my second year at the physical therapy clinic, I was like, I'm done with this. I'm going to go training. And all of us ended up with Kent Gladiator in some sort of sense. And that's how I ended up with Kent Gladiator and training people. And kind of my background, I don't know if you would call it a specialty, but because my education was in strength and conditioning, I loved training younger athletes from 16 to early 20s in sports. Not that I'm a guru at it, but I love doing it. I feel like I'm pretty good at it. And then like you guys, I'm specialize in just general population. So everywhere from, like Cody said, to 25 to 75. I think we're all three really good at that spectrum. And we kind of have our little nuances that we go here and there, but yeah, that's kind of my background was soccer, sports, physical therapy. I feel like I learned the body pretty well doing that. And we ended up here. So here we are. That's a little bit of our background and where we come from and what we do. I started a company called T3 Optimization, where it specializes in nutrition for general population, and did that for a little while, and it's kind of expanded and grown. So we're here now. I think Cody, what do you think the listeners that want to listen can like expect from us coming up? Like, what are we going to deliver to them?
Tyler, that's a great question. I don't know if I have a great answer. I think they're going to get a lot of very mediocre humor.
Yes.
I do think listeners should have that expectation ahead of time. More importantly, I think Joseph actually brought up a really good perspective that I feel like we will be able to bring some of not all, some of the more like complicated, sciencey, nuanced fitness, nutrition, exercise science, movement, whatever you want to call it, stuff and we will distill it, translate it, and put it into usable, realistic, and like actionable advice, stories, case studies, and examples. So I think that's probably going to be the big thing that people will get is it sounds like collectively we have, I don't know, a few decades worth of experience. And so they'll be able to kind of cut to the front of the line when it comes to what are the important things that I need to do in order to see results.
Yeah,
And I think
absolutely.
the cool thing is, sorry, Tyler, I didn't mean to cut you off. So don't fire me on the first day, please. But I think the cool thing is, I think we all have we all practice very similarly. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to do this perfect exercise upside down in a Smith machine somewhere to get glute gains, right? Like, we don't have to freaking chug apple cider vinegar to lose weight, right? Like, we all have like a very like, hey, let's just do the basics really well and watch how well it works. And so I hope that, we're obviously going to get into some fads, whether it's an exercise fad or a nutrition fad, and hopefully provide some light to those areas to be like, hey, you don't have to be crazy. You don't have to spend bukus of money. You can just exercise, on your own. You don't need waist trainers and knee wraps and all these things like to get started. And I hope we provide a peace of mind that you can be successful without doing these wild things that are on the internet today for clickbait, right? Clickbait, right? So I hope we do that pretty well too.
Yeah, I think if you could build us characters in a cartoon, I think Cody's going to be the nerdy guy with the glasses and the lab coat. Joseph will be the keep it real fad guy, which I'm excited to talk about all the things that we're going to bring a lot of real world client experience to this bad boy. And then hopefully I'm going to be just herding cats with these two and kind of give my 2 cents every now and then. So I think that'll be fun. But yeah, together, just like Joseph said, I bet there's close to 35 years of experience with clients and thousands of clients that we've probably trained. So I think we've probably seen it all. We want this podcast to be not only for clients and people looking to get results and just general information, but we want this podcast to be for trainers as well. So we will have some episodes where we dive off into some real nerdy science stuff. And then we'll have some episodes where we're just kind of goofy talking about things that drive us crazy all the time. So we would actually love y'all's feedback in the comment section. So if you could, throw some comments in there on the, hey, y'all talk about this, or if you're a trainer, hey, what do y'all think about that? So we would love feedback. It's just going to give us some ideas to drive home for the future on what y'all want us to talk about and to help give us some ideas. So we're pretty pumped. We have no idea how many we're going to put out. We'll see how much work this is or is not, guys, right? And we're looking forward to hopefully, bringing some cool content to y'all. So we're excited. Let us know what you want. Let us know what you think. And hey, we'll hopefully see y'all soon. So that's it, guys. We appreciate y'all. And we'll let you know when the next one's coming out. See you later.